the endless archive of horror cinema, it's easy to forget some of those particularly terrifying gems that have managed to slide down the back of the cabinet, seemingly lost to the dusts of time without getting the true horror fan treatment that they deserve. Well guys, it's safe to say that you had a lot to say about part 1 of this top 5 scary list, but fortunately for us there are many more forgotten horror movies that deserve our attention, so we better take a look. Hey, hello horror fans, what's going on, and once again welcome back to the Scariest channel on YouTube, top 5 scary videos. As per usual, I'll be your horror host Jack Finch, as today we curiously take a look at the top 5 scariest forgotten horror movies, part 2. Roll the clip. For the curious amongst you, that clip was from John Carpenter's mind-bending supernatural masterpiece, Prince of Darkness, and although it's definitely not a forgotten horror movie, because anyone worth their salt knows what's good, it perhaps doesn't get the recognition that it deserves, so there you have it, consider it recognised. Now, as is always the case, we're obviously not going to please everyone on this list, so if you've got any honourable mentions, please let them be known in the comment section down below. Kicking off at number 5, House, 1986.
Sandy.
Alright, I won't sugarcoat it, this film definitely isn't for everyone, and if you're going into this film with the intention of being scared witless, you're going to find it a little bit jarring, to say the least. Because while at times House is definitely a more than capable slow-crawling spookfest, the point of this film lies in its intelligent, tongue-in-cheek satire of horror, and even more surprisingly, the fact that it's absolutely hilarious for the most part. Box art and all, House, directed by Steve Miner and starring William Catt, is an intelligent dissemination of every single horror cliche that you could imagine, and that definitely put some people off after its 1986 release, but when you look back at House, the point of it is that it's a pastiche to horror fans from every generation. It's a haunted house flick, but it's also a creature feature, and then it's a family-friendly ghost story, and then it's a psychological critique of the Vietnam War and the plight of war veterans. Yeah, exactly. It turns up the heat where it needs to, but for the most part it's a love letter to the horror genre, while also managing to slide in some incredible low-budget special effects. House is definitely a horror film frozen in time, but it's worth slipping back into every now and then. Coming up next at number 4, Session 9, 2001.
Mary? Mary?
Have you seen our doll, Mr. Doctor?
Who am I speaking with?
Yeah, now we're getting into the meat and bones, because 2001 Session 9 genuinely turns up the spooks to a level that I wasn't exactly expecting, and that's a good thing, because for one, the pacing of this film is second to none, with a masterful narrative that manages to slowly drip feed us enough curious intrigue to keep us guessing throughout. While it may seem it on the surface, Session 9 is so much more than some cheap hack and slash thriller that the promotional material sold it as, and it's actually an incredibly intelligent slow burner, more akin to the likes of 1973's Don't Look Now, drawing inspiration from the likes of Hitchcock and Kubrick rather than the horror contemporaries of the early noughties. Written and directed by Brad Anderson, Session 9 tells the story of Gordon, played by the incredible Peter Mullen, who is an absolute gem, may I add, who's the owner of a small asbestos removal company. He's down on his luck and he decides to take a job that you'd never want to take, removing asbestos in an abandoned mental asylum. Yeah, exactly. I'll say no more, because for those of you that haven't seen it, this film needs to be experienced with a fresh pair of eyes, but trust me, it's worth it. Great film. Next up at number 3, The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, 1976.
They called her the little girl who lives down the lane. All alone in that big house.
Alright, picture Home Alone, except there's no goofy traps, no wet bandits, zero Macaulay Culkin, and 100% Jodie Foster, in an incredibly intelligent horror film about a particularly closed-off teenage girl. Yeah, you heard that correctly, the one and only Jodie Foster in her first ever main title role at just 14 years old, following the success of her role in Taxi Driver. Don't get me wrong, this is perhaps much more of a psychological thriller than a cut-and-shot horror film, but it's a genre-bending mashup that delivers wholeheartedly on both the suspense and the cerebral spooks, mainly down to Jodie Foster's knockout performance and her cold, dead stare. Also, it co-stars the awesome Martin Sheen, so yeah, there's no excuse really. Directed by Nicholas Gessner and written by Lard Koenig, based on his novel of the same name, The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane tells the tale of a 13-year-old Rin Jacobs, a child whose absent father and subsequent secretive behaviour has drawn the suspicions of her small-town Maine, New England neighbours. Now listen, this film is definitely a product of its age, and it's a straight-up 70s pseudo-horror, but unlike many of its contemporaries, The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane actually manages to deliver on its promise of making you feel utterly on edge the whole time through. Also, like I said, Jodie Foster. It's worth watching just for that. Swinging in at number 2, Eyes Without a Face, 1962. guys, not going to lie, I hate this film. Back in school I studied film and we did a semester on German Expressionism and French New Wave cinema, and we had to watch this film pretty much on repeat, and every single damn time it was terrifying. There's something about black and white cinema that just gives me the spooks, and when you surgically splice the narrative of this horror show on top of that, you get this, and it's messed up. 1962's Eyes Without a Face pretty much paved the way for an entire genre of transplant-based horror, but none of them even come close to the uneasy sense of despair that this film is just dripping with. The thing is, French New Wave wasn't exactly known for its ingenious narrative or script writing, but in that respect, Eyes Without a Face nailed it with its simplicity. A plastic surgeon's daughter was horrifically disfigured in a car crash, and now he's hell-bent on getting her a new face. That's all you need to know, and then just watch, wide-eyed literally, as some of the most unnerving scenes in cinema play out. Yeah, I don't like that one. And finally, coming in at our number one spot, Mute Witness, 1995. Which is, in fact, perhaps the definition of a forgotten horror movie. And that really is a crying shame, because 1995's Mute Witness is an absolutely resounding horror film, and I also don't say this lightly, it's horrifying, although perhaps not in the sense that you'd expect. I almost feel like it was a precursor to the same played out torture gore fest cinema that we were played with in the early 2000s, but unlike those, this one actually had substance to it, and it had it in bundles. Written, directed and produced by Anthony Waller, Mute Witness pretty much went to every length possible to even get made, and it was a bit of a struggle to do that, to say the least. Mute Witness tells a tale of Billy, a special effects makeup artist without the ability to speak, who's working on a low-budget slasher film in Moscow. Things quickly take a turn as Billy stumbles upon a crew shooting what appears to be a snuff film, and slowly she stumbles down the rabbit hole of a terrifying international ring of human trafficking criminals. Oh, and also it stars my man, Sir Alec Guinness, which pretty much sums this film up really. Completely unknown cast, completely unknown director, but the late great Sir Alec Guinness took one look at the script and was like, yeah, this is a great horror film. Let's make it. This one is definitely worth a watch, guys. Thank me later. Well, there we have it, horror fans, our list for the top 5 scariest forgotten horror movies part 2. What do you reckon? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below, as well as any choice picks of the forgotten horror greats worth mentioning. Before we depart today's video, let's take a look at some of your more resounding remarks from over the past few days. First up, New Wave says, my guy changes his hair more than he changes his underwear. Well, New Wave, that's one way to put it, I guess. I can't say you're wrong though, my hair grows pretty quick. Next up, King in Yellow says, random question, Mr. Jack, why 2 coats Jack? Pirate name? Just kidding, but seriously, what's the story? Well, King in Yellow, although a pirate name would be pretty awesome, since you asked, my Instagram handle actually comes from a coat that I used to have, that if you zipped it in the right way, it became 2 coats. So if your friend was cold, you could give them a coat. 2 coats, Jack. When it's cold, I got your back. Yeah, it sounded cooler in my head, actually. Well, on that awkward note, horror fans, cheers for sticking around all the way until the end. If you're a fan of this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button as well as that subscribe bell, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. As per usual, I've been your horror host, Jack Finch. You've been watching top 5 scary videos, and until next time, you take it easy.